Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. Got the Kioti out. Got a little something I wanted to look at on the 3-point lift lever that it's been a headache for me, and from what I've read on a lot of the tractor groups and forums and stuff, it's just not suitable, not a suitable mechanism for on your 3-point lift. I'll get in close and show you here. You know when you're raising and lowering your 3-point lift with a little lever, you got a little stop there, like a set screw kind of thing that you can set. So for example, maybe if you're using your tiller or rotary cutter or whatever, you pick it up, you want it to be at the same place every time. You got that little thumb screw that you set for a stop. Well, I can tell you, it's not the greatest on this tractor. It's just a little threaded bolt with a plastic knob on top, and you can tighten it down pretty good, and then next thing you know, 2 or 3 rounds, and when you drop your implement back down, it's split all the way to the bottom. It just doesn't hold very good. I mean, you can torque down on it and real tight and with some pliers, and it holds pretty good, but you like that, be able to turn that thing with your hand, on the fly to adjust it here and there, half inch or whatever. It needs to be a little bit more adequate device. All right, let me get in here close and I'll show you exactly what it is and what I've come up with as an alternative plan. Okay, so right here is what we're talking about. Here's your 3-point lever up and down, and then right here is a little thumb screw, I call it, so you can loosen that, slide it, slide it up here or whatever, you tighten it back down, and then when you put the lever down, it acts as a stop. But as I say, vibration and just not being able to really tighten down on that thing like you need to, kind of makes it where after a few rounds it wants to slide down on you. So we're going to take this thing off. I'll show you what I've come up with and see if that will be a better plan. You got about 4 screws here. I think they're 10 millimeter. 1, 2, 3, and there's one in the cup holder up here. So we're going to pop those screws off and take that thing off and see what we can do with it. All right, got the drill here with the extension. Let's see if we can get this thing off. Those 4 screws, 10 millimeter, and then there's a Phillips screw in the side of this handle right here. If you back that out, and then you can pull that handle off and then lift that whole cover off. Pull that off, and you should kind of got it's a little tight on these hydraulic levers, but be able to work it back and forth, slide it over those. So now we got that whole piece out of there. So yeah, the part that we're talking about, right here, the little thumb screw, you loosen it, you can slide it back and forth. So let's take that thing completely off and see exactly what it's made up of. All right, so you've got, I think this is a 5 millimeter by 0.08. I put it in my little, let me grab my little, if you don't have one of these, it comes in very handy, Amazon. So it looks like, yep, that is a 5 millimeter by 0.8. So what I had initially planned to do was just go online and order a winged 5 millimeter bolt. To something that would have a little bit more surface for you to grab a hold of to tighten down better, a wing nut rather than this little plastic nut. But I dug around in the toolbox in there and I may have lucked up, so I'm going to show you what I'm planning to do here. And you see this threaded thing had a sleeve on the back, and then you had this little nut that went underneath that slid along the track. You see it's got a little ear that sticks up that slides in that rail, where the lift goes in and out. So, basically you got it like this. So I'm going to reuse the sleeve and this piece right here, but I am going to replace this plastic wing nut. So I dug around in the toolbox in there, and just miracle, I actually have found a winged bolt. It's a little bit longer, it's the same size, but I'm going to try to put that in there with a couple of other little things I think that will help. So what I'm going to come up with, I'm going to put the sleeve back on there, because that kind of goes inside that rail. And then I've got a couple of these star type washers that I'm going to put down here on the base of this thing. So this will be going through, and then something like that. And I think those star washers will kind of grip the bottom of the plastic rail that this thing slides in, and hopefully will help it hold better. Now, I don't know if this little wing nut here is going to hold up. It's obviously it's plastic, but if that don't work, I'm just going to order the metal ones like I had planned to do initially. But I'm going to give this a trial run and see how it works. If it don't, I can just take a regular wing nut and weld it on top of I've got some 5.08 millimeter bolts in the shop there. So let's get it back together and see what it looks like. Alright, I got it together here. So I missed one component there. I do have a flat washer on top here because the head of this little wing bolt here was just barely wide enough to cover this gap here. So there again, I've got the original piece on the bottom with the little guide still in the rail, if you can see that right there at my finger. So it'll still slide in the rail like it was. And then I've got a couple, and just because I just looking for as much grip as possible, I've got a larger and a smaller star washer on the bottom. I don't know if you might can see that through the hole there. That's going to grip on the bottom of that, and then a flat washer. So basically you loosen it just like you did before, slide it with no problem, and then of course I put that little sleeve back in there too, that was originally in there. And then you can kind of torque that. I don't want to torque it too hard because I don't want to break it, but I think that's pretty snug. We'll tell with the vibration and everything. I guess if I had to, I could also put a lock washer there, to help make it stay tight. So let's get it back together, and time will tell if it's going to work. All right, let's slide her back down on there. Should right back up with the bolts. I'm gonna get them started by hand, maybe. Snug those down. Don't want to do too much because plastic and everything. You don't want to break nothing. All right, so there we go. Got them in there. And so just loosen it, slide it up and down like we did before, no problem there. And like I said, that gives you a little bit more grip there to tighten down on it. And because when I tighten down on this one, it would hold, but it's just kind of hard to grip it and tighten down on it enough without grabbing some pliers or something. I'll show you what's on the Massey right quick, because it's like a Cadillac compared to this as far as this little set screw or whatever. But so right here on the Massey, I'm looking at the view from the back here. I don't know if you can see that big knob right there on the left, right there. You got a big knob that you can turn with, you can get your whole hand around it versus, that little thumb screw. Let's go around to the other side. And of course, your bracket and everything, this tractor has draft control, so you got your two different, and you have a knob for your draft control as well, so you can get your whole hand around that thing, and slide it up and down, and then, the bolt goes through the the frame there, and then your 3-point lever hits it. And even these 3-point levers, of course they're metal, and you had a spring tension adjuster right there with a flathead screwdriver. You could adjust how tight you want that to be. So just typical things from long ago versus things of today. But anyway, that just kind of gives you a comparison of the two. But anyway, we'll give it some time and see how that works. But let me know what you think. If you're looking at an idea, like I said, it's a 5mm. In fact, if you're looking right there, 5mm by 0.8. You can go online and Google, I think like winged bolts or whatever, and you can find that. So, I was just lucky here, and I'm guessing that bolt is about an inch and a quarter long, something like that. But you could probably go online and order. I think I saw some on eBay. You can order like a 2-pack for a couple bucks. That would do the same thing. Just throw your couple of washers or whatever in there. So we'll see how that turns out. All right, thanks for joining me. Hit that like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.